Hey friends, it is good to see you. I know I always say that. You cannot see me.
They can see you.
No. Oh my.
It's good for you to be seeing us.
It is November 11. It is November 11 today. So this is our update to you for October and November. And we've been away for a little while, so we're really glad that we have been able to carve out some time to get a new message out to our friends and family back in Michigan and elsewhere who are partners with us in this mission. We've actually added some new people to our mailing list, so I wanted to just take a moment and let you know why we do these videos. And then after I do that, we're going to just kind of run down what we've been up to for the last couple of months and then share some prayer requests with you. And then I have one more specific ask at the end. But the reason we do these videos is we know that many of you just get emails upon emails, and I know that I often skim those. And this is just a way for us to stay in touch with the people who have partnered with us in the mission to plant more churches in the Livingston County area in Michigan. People who want to spread the gospel and be missionaries alongside of us in some sense. So we're down in Texas right now getting our training as church planters and preparing over the next 14 months or so here in Texas before we come back to Michigan to plant our church. So we just wanted to let you know some of the stuff we've been up to over the last couple of months. It has been a crazy couple of months filled with a lot of great things. We let you know in our last update video that we were heading back to Michigan for my sister's wedding, and we did just that. It was awesome. Mm-hmm. Any comments or
Well, just thinking about our last update video, I think in our last email we had mentioned that there were a couple of things that we needed for our time in Michigan, and I just want to say thank you.
Yes.
Because all of those needs were supplied very abundantly and made our trip. It made all the difference for our trip running smoothly and being able to see family, and it was a huge blessing to us.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was just a real treat to be able to reconnect with some people from Peace Church and some other friends. We got to see a lot of family. That was the big emphasis of our trip, and it was a blessing. I got to officiate my sister's wedding. And it was like a blessing upon blessing, because I got to be a part of Taylor's wedding and got to gain a great brother-in-law in Scott. Also got to do that wedding in an area where we will be planting our church. So leading up to the wedding, part of me was getting a little anxious because I had to preach this sermon at the wedding, and I was almost feeling like this is like almost an audition for some people who are from the area who maybe will consider coming to our church someday. But as the wedding got closer and closer, the Lord, He was just faithful. I kept hearing about more and more people who were going to be at the wedding who don't know Jesus. And I felt the burden to share the gospel and use that opportunity to shine a light on what Christ has done for us. And I feel like I was able to do that. And that was just a blessing. It felt to me, I don't know if you felt this way, but having all those people gathered from all different parts of our life in one spot and being able to preach, it almost felt like a foretaste of what a church plant could feel like.
Yeah.
And that was cool.
Yeah.
So on top of just good time with family, that was a blessing. Right after the wedding, the day after, I actually flew back to Texas to be a part of a staff commitment that I needed to be at for the Village Church, but Dana stayed in Michigan with family for another week.
Me and the kids.
Yeah. And one thing that I wanted to share with y'all was just a really cool experience I got to have. The reason I came back was for the Village Church staff retreat. And as a part of that retreat, they brought in a speaker, somebody who I really admire. His name is Ray Ortland. We got to spend time with him as church planters. And I was just so grateful. He's been somebody who has ministered to me from afar for a long time through his preaching and through the ministry of his church. He's somebody who, when you are with him, when you hear him preach, I always have the sense of this person has been with Jesus. And he spoke some really encouraging, life-giving things to me then. I was at that staff retreat for about a week, and then when I got home from the staff retreat, Dana got home with the kids.
So we flew home, and because we were flying without Ethan, and my mom very generously and graciously flew with us to help with flying. And then it was fun because she got to stay with us in Texas for a few days and see where we live, and we had some day trip adventures, and it was fun.
Yeah, so we were just grateful for that, and it was really a blessing to be able to show family around where we are now, and have at least our mom be able to experience in person what we're experiencing here. And then after that, just a few days after that, really, one of the coolest things that I've gotten to do probably in my life was I got to lead worship at the Village Church. As we're filming this, it was yesterday, and so I've just done an audition for the worship team and just expected to volunteer, but they were short-staffed and they needed somebody, and hey, I used to be a worship pastor, so I got to do that, and it was a major blessing. And in fact, we have just a little video clip that we thought we'd show you.
Be planting the church out of here, but he also can lead worship. Are you going to lead worship in your own church plant? Will you unplug and then preach? It's never even an option for me, brother. That is not a baby guitar. Ethan he is a very large, handsome man. And so, what a gift of God's grace again that these brothers will come in and spend a year or so with us and then roll out and plant a church that's going to plant churches that's something that we really want to celebrate here and get excited about. And so he'll be with us for a while, and you'll see him doing some of this, and you'll see him around. Again, just an extremely gifted man. It's been fun to get to know him, and so glad that he's with us.
One thing that I've been thinking is neat about that is, if you know us well, you know that we have admired the Village from afar for a long time. And now that we're here, it's neat to see this organization become real people and kind of get used to them. But it still just was, I felt like for me, it was cool to see Ethan leading worship at the Village and to feel like we're working alongside people who have really powerfully shaped our faith for a decade. And it was cool to work shoulder to shoulder with them in that.
Yeah, it was just a gift. God is kind. I just felt his, this may sound cheesy, but I just felt like he was giving me a gift like a father would yesterday. It was not something I needed at all, but it was a blessing from him. And a lot of our time here has felt that way. But maybe you can tell life has been a little crazy. All the stuff that we've mentioned on top of staying on top of the reading and homework that I have for my program. And actually, one other thing we didn't mention, you got to do something pretty cool. You got to meet with, talking about meeting with people who've influenced us.
Yeah, also yesterday. Wait, no.
No,
it was a week ago.
Yeah.
I got to meet with Jen Wilkin, who is a Bible teacher, and she writes women's Bible studies, and I think she's director of curriculum at the Village Church, I think is her title, something like that. But I've just admired her for a long time, and when I was put in a position to teach the Bible, a lot of how I learned how to teach the Bible was from observing the way she teaches the Bible. So I had emailed her early in October and asked if she'd be willing to meet with me and talk to me about some things related to the overlap of motherhood and ministry, and she was generous with her time to have a meeting with me, and it was a very encouraging meeting, and I just felt like that was also a gift, just a really good experience.
Yeah. So, like I said, God has been kind. There's so much more that's been just part of normal life that's kept us busy, and I've wanted to shoot this video so many times, and we've had something going on in the evening, or one of us wasn't available, and I know how angry you all got when I shot a video without Dana last time. So we're finding time tonight, finally, to get back in touch with you all. And we did want to share some ways that we're hoping that you could pray for us. Do you want to go first?
Yeah. I think a big prayer that's been in my heart is a praise. The kids have made some really sweet friends since we've been here, and people that we see very frequently and enjoy spending time with, and it's just been really good. It's fun to see Ellis is our social butterfly and makes friends everywhere, but even Abel has found some kids that he's willing to leave the house to play with. He's our little homebody.
Yeah.
And so that's been just another thing that helps it feel like home here, that we have some community and that our kids have some community. And then another prayer request that's pretty mundane is we're going to start potty training Esri soon, or at least attempt it. So we pray for our sanity and hers.
Yes, and our washing machine.
And our washing machine. And our carpet.
One way you can pray for me over the next few months, as you may remember, we are in my program working through some core competencies that Acts 29 church planters need to have. And a lot of the emphasis thus far has been on the character of the church planter, the quality of his family life. It's been really rich and really good. But over the next couple months, we're starting to move more into strategic planning for the actual church, thinking about vision and the kind of core elements of doctrine and philosophy of mission that come together to make a unique church. And so you can just be praying that the Lord would be in that I would be seeking wise counsel from wherever I can, and that he would build a skeleton of something that will bear fruit later in the life of the church. It's exciting, but it's also kind of intimidating for me. You can also be just praying for our evangelism. We've been sharing with you about a family who we met when we first got here from Europe, and we are kind of in a place where we're really just waiting for them to reach out to us, so that we are not smothering them. Yeah, but we really would love to continue a relationship with them and would like to have an opportunity to share the gospel further with them. So keep praying for Boris and Ina and their 2 daughters. And then finally, I think we're heading into the holiday season, and we'll probably be in touch with you again before Christmas. But as Thanksgiving and Christmas come, we're going to be here in Texas, and we'll be fine, but we'll also miss home. And so you can just be praying that for us. And that kind of transitions into the last thing I wanted to talk to you all about. As the holidays approach and the end of year approaches, I know that some of you may be thinking about giving at the end of the year. And I wanted to just talk to those of you who were thinking about giving to us specifically and give you a specific ask. The truth is that God has been tremendously generous to us, and we are fully funded and then some for our time in Texas. And if anybody did want to give further to us, that would be a major blessing. Whatever we don't use here in Texas, we'll just carry over to our church plant. But there is a need that I would love you to think about. One of my fellow church planters, his name is Randall Bishop. He's been here since we moved here in the summertime. He's married to Matina, and they have 4 kids. He's planning on planting in South Dallas. He grew up in this area, but they moved here from Chicago. Randall is a great man of God. He has been a faithful and hard worker, and he's got a great vision for spreading the gospel here in the Dallas area. And the reality is he's just had a much more difficult time raising the money to be here. And I don't know exactly why that is. Perhaps he has just a different network of people. Perhaps the church community that he has come from is not necessarily blessed in terms of means in the ways that our church community was. I don't know. But I do know that Randall has worked really hard and yet has consistently had a hard time. He's had to work a couple jobs, and I've just been so impressed by this man and the hard work that he's done to follow God's call in his life. And so rather than giving to us this holiday season, I just wanted to invite you that if the Lord would put it on your heart to support Randall on a one-time basis or on a recurring basis, wherever the Lord might lead you. I'll put a link to Randall's Reliant page in this video and in our email. And if you have any questions about him, you can feel free to reach out to me. But we want to be a church planters and start a church that lives generously and gives generously and gives out of our abundance. And one of the abundances God has given us is just a great network of people who love to be generous. So we wanted to lay that before you. If you can't give or are reluctant to give, there's no judgment there either. But if the Spirit is moving you, we would encourage you to listen to His voice. So thank you all. We thank our God every time we think of you because of your partnership with us in the gospel. We're grateful for you, and we will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.